Best friend, when are you coming down here? I know you're not. I know you said till later, cause you're gonna go to jail, FYI. Just so you
I
know.
knew something was wrong. I didn't know what, but I knew something was wrong. I'm hurt. I'm numb. I'm angry, and I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby.
I'm allergic to cheese, so there shouldn't be no cheese on my burger, on my bun, no scrambles of cheese. Now, what if I died? What if I died, guys?
On the morning of November 26, 2021, a 22-year-old woman who had just given birth was found stabbed to death in a home on Llewellyn Street in Lowell, Massachusetts. Not long before this, a heated argument erupted between Deja Jenkins and her husband. He was questioning whether the new baby they just had was not his. And on Thanksgiving Day of 2021, Deja disappeared without a trace. It wasn't until she was found days later, dead with over 58 stab wounds, and the man behind it all was the father of her baby. As the police dug for the truth, they uncovered a discovery that no one expected. This is the life and death of Deja Jenkins Minnis. Born on February 15, 1999, Deja Jenkins was the daughter of Lamont Jenkins and Latoya R. Minnis. As the eldest of two children, she held a special place in her family and shared an especially close relationship with her mother. Deja was deeply loved by her relatives, known not just as a daughter and sister, but also as a beloved niece, cousin, and eventually a caring mother. She grew up in a warm and supportive home that placed strong importance on education, personal development, and family bonds.
I'm clearly bored. Stop saying that. Stop saying what? You don't have real sex?
Give me an egg. Give me a two. Give me a pig. Give me $1. Give me and GD. Not out. I'm lost.
From a young age, Deja stood out for her determination and drive. She attended high school, where she excelled both in the classroom and on the field, developing a reputation for her leadership and athleticism. After graduating, she enrolled at Merrimack College, where she proudly became a Merrimack Warrior. At Merrimack, Deja continued to excel, pursuing her dream of a career in social work and working hard to build a meaningful future. Her commitment to helping others was matched only by her determination to achieve something greater for herself.
I might pull up on you. Well, I go on break at 7:30, and I have a 2-hour break.
With a bright future ahead, Deja was headed towards something big. But all of that would change when she met 27-year-old Leonard D. Robinson. Leonard was better known by his stage name, Whole Body D. Rose. Leonard was an up-and-coming rapper gaining traction in the Boston music scene. Known for his confident persona and growing popularity, he quickly caught Deja's attention. What started as a romance would soon become a defining part of her life, one filled with love, promise, and unexpected turns. As their relationship deepened, Deja stepped into a new chapter, motherhood. Even with the pressures of college and a demanding relationship, she embraced her role as a mother with fierce devotion. But her relationship with Leonard was never perfect. This doesn't mean, however, that they were not happy. To everyone on the outside, they seemed genuinely happy. Whether they were out together or posting online, their connection appeared strong. Their social media pages were filled with warm moments, laughing, hugging, and enjoying each other's company. Then came a big announcement that would mark the start of Deja's nightmare. Deja was pregnant. Many thought this would be the next step to solidify their relationship, but instead of bringing them closer, it marked the beginning of their unraveling. At first, Deja was overjoyed. She proudly shared her pregnancy journey on social media, posting photos and updates that captured her excitement. Her family, thrilled by the news, surrounded her with love and support. But while Deja was glowing, Leonard's behavior took a sharp turn. He grew distant, uneasy, and more guarded with time. People began to notice the change, and whispers of concern began to grow. Still, Leonard's shift wasn't without reason. Beneath the surface, he was wrestling with something serious, an unspoken fear that would begin to cloud every part of their relationship. On the September 20, 2021, Deja welcomed her baby girl, Delaney, into the world. But instead of bringing the couple closer, Leonard's behavior began to raise serious concerns. Soon after Delaney's birth, he started sharing alarming posts online, messages that hinted at doubt and distrust. Leonard began publicly questioning whether Delaney was truly his child, suggesting that Deja may have been unfaithful. Though he never gave any specific reason or evidence, he made one thing clear: he wanted a paternity test. Even if some could argue that his request wasn't entirely unreasonable, many were unsettled by how openly he aired his suspicions. Most believed these were private matters best handled behind closed doors, not through cryptic online rants. The public nature of his accusations led people to wonder what was really going on between them. But the tension didn't stop there. What came next stunned everyone. Deja, no longer willing to stay silent, responded online, and what she had to say would set social media on fire. However, that was only the start. What followed would take everything to a darker and more unexpected place. On the night before Thanksgiving, Deja made a visit to her parents' home with little Delaney in tow. Leonard, noticeably absent, chose not to come along. Given the growing strain between the two and the discomfort caused by their very public disputes, his absence didn't surprise anyone. Still, the mood in the house remained upbeat. Deja and her family were looking forward to celebrating Delaney's very first Thanksgiving, and they had big plans to make the day memorable. Deja had told her family that she would head back to her place that evening to finish up last-minute tasks and then return the next morning for the holiday gathering. Everything appeared to be falling into place for a warm, family-filled celebration. But then came the unexpected. On the November 26, 2021, Thanksgiving Day, Deja and Delaney never returned. What was meant to be a day of joy and togetherness quickly turned into a day of worry and confusion. Deja's sudden absence sent her family into panic. Throughout the entire Thanksgiving evening, LaToya and her relatives tried calling her non-stop, but every attempt was met with silence. Her phone either rang without an answer or went straight to voicemail. This wasn't like Deja at all. She was always in touch.
Here I am, still on your fucking line.
Here you are, still here.
Still here. Now I'm really here. Hey, Sneeze.
Nigga said,
Look at this.
yo, Tokumari on the Wazy.
Especially on holidays. The longer they waited, the more anxious they became. With no word from her and time ticking by, the family turned to technology. They used the Find My iPhone app in hopes of getting a lead. What they discovered only deepened the mystery. The location showed Deja's phone was in Lowell, at Leonard's apartment, not in Boston, where she was last known to be. On the same night, instead of calling the police, LaToya chose to act fast. She drove straight to Leonard's place. When she got there, the scene was unsettling. The apartment was dark and locked up tight. No one came to the door. Thinking the place was empty, she left, but not for long. Something didn't sit right. She returned later, hoping to catch someone there. Still, nothing. Then came the most chilling detail of all. Neighbors told LaToya they had seen Deja go inside the apartment, but no one ever saw her leave. LaToya's growing worry turned into panic when her daughter still hadn't been heard from. With fear taking over, she finally called 911 to request a welfare check. On the morning of the search, around 10:45 IMM, officers from the Lowell Police Department arrived at Leonard's apartment. Before they could get inside, a determined relative of Leonard's took matters into their own hands. They climbed through a window and began checking the rooms. What they found was chilling. Behind one locked door, they forced their way in and were met with a nightmare. Deja's body was lying lifeless on the floor near a deflated air mattress. Inside that room, the signs of violence were undeniable. Deja had endured an unspeakable attack. She had been stabbed 58 times, and her neck was broken. The medical examiner later confirmed the neck fracture as the fatal injury. Wounds on her hands told a heartbreaking story. Deja had tried to defend herself. She fought until the very end. As the family tried to process the horrifying discovery, one piece of news brought a small sense of relief. Deja's 2-month-old daughter was found safe, but what baffled everyone was where she was found. On the same day, the baby had somehow ended up back at LaToya's home in Boston, far from the apartment in Lowell. How she got there remains a mystery. The investigation quickly picked up speed. On the morning of Saturday, November 27, 2021, police returned to the apartment on Llewellyn Street with a search warrant in hand. As they combed through the space, they collected multiple pieces of evidence. house. Among the items was a knife that closely resembled the one believed to have been used in the attack. This find added more weight to the case, but also raised even more questions about what had really unfolded inside that apartment. In the days that followed the discovery of Deja's body, shockwaves rippled through the community. The sudden loss of a young mother left friends and neighbors heartbroken. No clear suspect was named, and the idea that someone could do such a thing to a woman just beginning her journey into motherhood left many searching for answers. Her loved ones were filled with sorrow, especially knowing she had just spent her very first Thanksgiving with her newborn daughter. Though investigators had little to go on at first, one unexpected source began to shine a light on what might have happened. As the days went on, detectives began piecing together a clearer picture, thanks to what they found on social media. On the surface, Deja appeared to be full of hope and happiness. Her final Facebook post, shared just a day before her tragic end, was filled with love and excitement for her daughter. In her words, it was clear she was looking forward to building a life with her baby girl. That post, however, stood in painful contrast to the nightmare that would soon unfold. As investigators dug deeper into her social media, they came across more messages that revealed how deeply she loved being a mother. These heartfelt posts painted a picture of a devoted and hopeful young woman, making the brutal nature of her death all the more heartbreaking. But as detectives went beyond the surface, they started to uncover troubling signs. Over the course of their investigation, they discovered online traces of tension between Deja and Leonard Robinson, the father of her child. Public interactions between the two hinted at emotional strain and growing conflict. Soon, Leonard began to emerge as a key figure in the case. Officers found posts that suggested the relationship may have been toxic, possibly leading to a deadly breaking point on Thanksgiving Day. Sadly, by the time police looked into Leonard's online history, many of his posts had already been deleted, leaving behind only fragments of what may have been critical clues. As detectives continued to follow the digital trail, the evidence pointed more clearly in one direction: Leonard Robinson. After reviewing online messages, past interactions, and tying him to the weapon found at the scene, authorities were now certain Leonard wasn't just connected to Deja, he was at the center of everything. On the following days, with mounting evidence in hand, police officially issued a warrant for Leonard's arrest. Not long after, on Monday, November 29, 2021, Leonard was tracked down in Boston. He had fled the Lowell apartment after Deja's death, but his attempt to disappear didn't last long. Officers arrested him without resistance. He was then charged with the murder of Deja Jenkins Minus after investigators confirmed he had been at the Llewellyn Street apartment with her in the hours before her death. The knife recovered during the search matched the weapon used in the crime, linking him directly to the scene. On the next day, Tuesday, November 30, 2021, Leonard was brought before a judge at Lowell District Court. He faced a charge of murder and was ordered to be held without bail. Prosecutors Tom Brandt and Caitlin Gemmel presented the case, while Susie Marshall acted as the victim witness advocate. Members of Deja's grieving family filled the courtroom, seeking justice for the young mother they had lost too soon. The case drew the attention and efforts of multiple law enforcement agencies. The investigation was led by the Middlesex District Attorney's Office and supported by the Massachusetts State Police Detectives, the State Police Violent Fugitive Apprehension Section, the State Police Gang Unit, and both the Lowell and Boston Police Departments. On the day of his court appearance, Leonard Robinson entered a plea of not guilty. While the full details of the legal proceedings were not made public, many believe he received the harshest penalty possible for the crime. For Deja's family and community, it was not just about punishment, it was about accountability and honoring her memory. Even with the suspect behind bars, the pain of losing Deja didn't fade. She was remembered as a bright and loving young mother whose life ended far too soon. The justice system's efforts brought a sense of relief, but it couldn't erase the heartbreak. Still, her loved ones found strength in knowing that her story would not be forgotten. Yet, Deja's tragic death leaves behind unresolved concerns. It appears that opportunities to intervene may have been missed, and there were likely moments when the growing tension between her and Leonard could have been diffused before reaching a deadly outcome. Leonard's denial of Delaney as his child, paired with his jealousy and mistrust, contributed to a deeply toxic and volatile environment. His extreme behavior seems to have stemmed from a mix of insecurity, emotional instability, and possibly unresolved personal issues. Another aspect of the case that adds to its complexity is the role of the relative who discovered Deja's body. Although their presence could be coincidental, the circumstances surrounding their involvement have raised quiet suspicions. These elements, along with the emotional weight of the tragedy, highlight how layered and painful this situation truly was. In the weeks that followed, the community came together to celebrate Deja's life. A candlelight vigil was held in her honor, where friends, neighbors, and family gathered to remember her warmth, ambition, and love for her daughter. Her mother, Latoya Minus, stood bravely before the crowd, calling for justice and expressing the unimaginable pain of losing her only child.
Just come forward. I'm not angry. I'm more mad that they won't come forward. I knew something was wrong. I didn't know what, but I knew something was wrong. I'm hurt. I'm numb. I'm angry. And I want justice for my baby and my grandbaby.
Best friend, when are you coming down here? I know you said till later, because you're gonna go to jail, FYI. Just so you know.
Now, Latoya has embraced a new role, not just as a grandmother, but as the guiding force in baby Delaney's life. Though she can never fill the void Deja left behind, she remains the closest person Delaney can now call mom. And through her, Deja's spirit lives on. Moving forward, the lesson must be about prevention. As a society, we need to focus on early intervention, on recognizing signs of abuse, encouraging honest conversations, and making support systems more available. Mental health resources and relationship counseling can make a difference when tensions begin to rise. Let us know what you think about this case in the comments below.